Grace Goodwin Dwyer. I'm a dietitian and I am back with the second video in our series for National Nutrition Month. So I'm teaming up with Kelly Ehlert of Priority Physical Therapy and making a few videos that answer some of our clients' most common questions. So today we're going to talk about snacks. We've had people ask what to eat for snacks, how often, etc. So there's a lot to say about this. I'm just going to talk about a few best practices, but keep in mind this is the tip of the iceberg. So we'll define snacks as foods that you would eat between meals when you're pretty hungry, but you're not hungry enough to sit down and eat a full plate. Ideally, it's good for most people to eat every 3 to 4 hours. If you go longer than this, your blood sugar might get low, you might get cranky, hangry, etc. But if you go shorter than this, and if you are eating snacks every 1 to 2 hours, you might actually have some gastrointestinal discomfort, bloating, etc., because you're eating all day and you're in a state of constant digestion. So in general, the best rule of thumb is to eat when you're hungry and go off your own intuitive internal cues. If you're not quite in that spot, then every 3 to 4 hours, eating a meal or a snack is a good rule of thumb. So one of the most common mistakes that I see with snacks is that people are eating things like fruit, popcorn, tortilla chips, carrots, which are all great. The problem is they're all just carbs. Carbs are great. We need carbs, but we need something with them in a snack. So those things that I just mentioned can be part of a great snack, but on their own, in and of themselves, they're not quite enough. So I'm going to break this down in a little diagram that I think is a really helpful. All right, so here we go with our diagram. Keep in mind this is a really crude graphic description of what we're talking about, but illustrates the general concept. So here, going across is time, going up the graph is blood sugar. So I'm going to show you what happens when you eat certain macronutrients. Macronutrients meaning carb, protein, fat. So when you eat carbohydrates, they're easily absorbed, digested. Your blood sugar goes up pretty quickly and then falls pretty quickly. Carbohydrates. When you eat protein, it comes up a little bit less of a spike, lasts a little bit longer. Protein. So the energy is more sustainable, it's longer lasting, and you get less of a blood sugar spike. That said, you don't feel, if you're really hungry, you wouldn't feel that jolt of energy in your bloodstream until a bit later in time. Fats has a curve kind of like this. So if you were super hungry and you ate pretzels, a carb, that would probably feel really satisfying quickly because it would perk your blood sugar back up quickly. Whereas if you ate, I don't know, you were really hungry and you ate a tablespoon of coconut oil, you might not feel great right away, but eventually it would absorb and you'd have some long-lasting energy. So what happens is if you eat a snack that's just a carb, you get this spike up and you get this crash back down. That means that when you crash back down here, you're feeling cravings, you're feeling hunger, and this snack didn't necessarily give you this nice smooth curve to last you into your next meal. However, if you eat just fat or just protein, you don't get that quick fuel and that quick sensation of being having energy. So ideally, if you eat a snack that has carbs and protein or carbs and fat or some combination of all these, you get a curve that kind of averages out maybe like this. So ideally, if you eat multiple of these macronutrients at once, you get a nice smooth averaged curve of your snack. The video I made last week in this series about protein dovetails pretty nicely with this topic, so check that video out if you haven't seen it. And then moving forward, if you have questions that you'd like answered in next week's video or the week after that for National Nutrition Month, shoot them to Kelly Ehlert of Priority Physical Therapy. You can find her on Instagram, Facebook, Google, etc. And if you want to contact me directly, you can do that through my website, www.gracegoodwindwyer.com.